Happy Friday, everybody. Hello, welcome. We don't have music today. It sounds weird. No intro music. Not sure what happened, but welcome to the weekly space. I hope everyone's been having a good week so far. It's been another one of those fun weeks with all kinds of little things happening and big and little things, ongoing things. So it's good to see everybody. And we have Victor here from CREA today, and that is super exciting to talk about CREA video, which is this amazing. And every time I think that the tools are getting we're used to them, we find a new way to use them. And I'm really excited to talk to him for a few minutes here and let him jump to go to an event. But welcome, everybody. Please use the emojis at the bottom to click on that heart at the bottom. Let us know how you're feeling. I'm so happy that people decided to come and spend a little bit of time with us. And let's see what's going on this week. But welcome to my panel. I'll go ahead and just introduce Victor, and so we can let him, talk to us a little bit about that. We'll ask some questions about CREA video and other things that are going on. But he is the co-founder, CEO of CREA AI, and we've all learned to use it for different types of things. You've had a lot of innovative developments there, and the platform is pretty amazing for live generation, image generation, logos, different types of tools you can use, training. I think you can train models on there, and now we have this. So welcome, Victor, and please tell us a little bit about what's going on. What's the latest happenings at CREA? Victor, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you might be on
Can you
mute.
guys hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you now.
Okay, amazing. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Heather,
Thank you.
for inviting me to speak in your podcast. Amazing work on sharing so many cool stuff on Twitter. I was just looking through your feed right now, and in the past 10 hours, you've made 11 posts or something like that. It's insane the amount of content that you're sharing in there. And yeah, it seems like you've tried every single tool and every single feature that we have at CREA, from the early ones that we were working on about a year ago, like the AI training, the AI canvas, and all these sorts of things, to even the new ones like CREA video. So, and yeah, and just to give you guys a little bit of background on how CREA got started. I think that it's worth even talking about how myself got started with AI. And essentially, it all started in around 2017. At that moment, I was doing a undergrad in Barcelona. That's where my co-founder and I are from. And since that point, my main background was purely creative. I had a music band, and I was doing all sorts of things around that music band, from photography to doing videos to some even graphic design. I was also a lot into graffiti art, and essentially, I wasn't techie, or I was not too interested in technology. But then at some point, I decided to go for an audiovisual systems engineering degree in Barcelona, which is kind of a degree where they teach you how a microphone works. They teach you about audio processing, and they even teach you about image processing techniques. And when we were studying image processing, I got introduced to AI. And after seeing what the state of the art was on image generation, I got super I fell very deep into the rabbit hole of it, especially with early methods like generative adversarial networks. At that moment, it was DCGAN. Early after the first Stallion came out, and it was just I started learning a lot about these methods. And yeah, essentially since then I've been researching. I ended up publishing papers and doing a bunch of things, but all the time I realized that during all this time where I was a researcher, I realized that there was something missing in the space for all the creative people that wanted to use this technology, and they didn't know how to code. And it turns out that there were no interfaces apart from Python and maybe some Google Colab. So very early on, I started to mess around and to try to build better ways of interacting with AI for making creative work. I ended up working with Joel Simon on Art Reader, that maybe some of you guys know. I trained some models in there, built a tool that was called Prose Painter that was super cool. And essentially what I realized is that in thanks to having a better interface, I was able to make way better work by myself without even having a better model. So that idea kept growing on me, and at some point, with my co-founder, with Diego, we decided to turn it into a startup. That was 2 years ago. And since then, that's kind of exactly what we have been working on, right? Like, we have been working on making tools that are intuitive and accessible. That are intuitive and controllable for artists to use. And yeah, that's the result is the real-time tool, the enhancer, now the video one, and all the previous ones that you mentioned before.
Well, thank you so much for that background. That's incredible to hear that, and it's very inspiring. And I wanted to ask you because as I was using, I didn't realize when you're using CREA video, you can use the real-time generation for if you choose to generate an image for your keyframe, and that's amazing in itself. But what gave you the idea to integrate to make it possible to use the keyframe images and text prompts together and make them so mobile or easily customized?
So actually, it was very funny because I thought that feature was disabled when we released the tool. So it was only after seeing your tweet that I realized, oh, holy shit, is this working? Like, I thought that we disabled it because we were having some technical issues with it. So yeah, it was fun to see that it was actually working in there. And essentially, the main idea behind that is that it turns out that using the real-time tool for generating keyframes gives you a lot of consistency. Like, if you try to make, I don't know, like a white jellyfish, and then, I don't know, if you're trying to make like the animation of a jellyfish, and in one you say close up of a white jellyfish, and then you try to make another keyframe with the real-time tool, and you say long shot of a jellyfish, you will probably get a very, very similar scene with the jellyfish, and that's going to lead to a much better video. And that's because under the hood, we are using the same seed for generating the two images. So I thought that, like, we thought that was something super powerful for this tool, and we decided to do this little integration of the real time in there.
Oh, that's great. I'm sorry if I let it out too soon, but I just wanted to see what it would be like to generate an image, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome because you can see it as you're generating and add to it and change it and things like that. Thank you. But my panel, anyone have any questions for Victor?
I do, mainly because I haven't got to actually use the tool myself yet. I'm excited to, but how many keyframes can you do? Is it just like one to like two different keyframes and it'll connect them, or can you do continuous ones?
There's a limit to the number of keyframes that you can add, and it depends on the size of the clip that you are generating. Right now, the maximum size of that clip is around 10 seconds. And I don't know exactly how many keyframes you can fit in between. But the best results are normally achieved through 4 keyframes. That's normally enough to get good results. But yes, essentially there is a limitation on how many keyframes you can add. But yeah, like in the end, it's not worth to try to put like too many keyframes because the results are not gonna look good. Like after you start playing with the tool, you will see, you will kind of get what I'm talking about. But essentially, like, there's something interesting, and we found a technique. Like, one of the early stages of this interface, it was actually based on trying to make infinitely long videos. And we hacked the models that we were using under the hood, in order to make arbitrary lengths of videos. So we were able to generate chunk after chunk and have like, I don't know, like 2-minute videos on the interface. And it turns out that people were not like that interested in making like that long videos. They liked like 10 seconds was more than enough for what they were trying to do. So yeah, it seems like that's the sweet spot right now for generating these clips with the tool.
Alan, have you had a chance to use it yet?
Briefly, I've briefly experimented with it. I guess first off, Vic, I just want to say, congratulations on the launch. Second, so great tool, love it. I love Boltron's work, and I was wondering if at some point CREA is going to implement that melting workflow that he uses. I love that. I would love to play around with that.
Yeah, there's an image to video workflow that we have integrated, and it's possible that we release it soon for like that. We want to make that the default for when you have a single keyframe and you don't, yeah, like, so when you have a single keyframe, it will make sense that you get like an image to video kind of workflow like the one that Boltron was using. So we are definitely thinking about that. It will probably not look as cool as the ones that Boltron is using, because Boltron in the end, he puts a lot of his touch in the work that he does, and there's like the workflows that he uses are like super specific for these kinds of aesthetics that he's getting, and he's also doing a lot of refinement on top of the videos to make it like high resolution and even more smooth. So these kinds of things are like work very well if you try to do those kinds of things, but don't generalize that well. But essentially, we will make sure that it also works good for the image to video use case.
Thank you. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
For the listeners, though, what is the best way to get access to the invitation code to get access for CREA Video? Besides, I went ahead and I know for Max users it was available, so I went ahead and just got a Max user account immediately because I wanted to try it. No, it just looks so amazing, but that is one way to have a Max subscription, or you have some invitation codes, but how do they get those or sign up for them?
Yeah, so right now, either talking with Boltron, talking to the CREA main account, or just like messaging me, we're gonna be happy to share a code with all of you that are listening right now. But in any case, like for your friends or whoever you know that also want to get access to a tool, we're gonna be rolling invites in batches very soon, and we are even thinking of making a small invite system where you get like a few invites that you can share with other artists and other folks who are interested in playing with CREA Video. But I think that in 1 or 2 weeks, maybe more too, CREA Video is going to be accessible for everybody and for free without the need of any code. So yeah, that's kind of the roadmap on releasing the tool to everybody.
So will it be, thank you so much, first of all. I really appreciate it. And I hope everybody that's listening heard him, that you can go ahead and message or interact with on that, on the thread, the announcement thread, even, right? If you leave a comment on there or something like that, or with the main CREA account, if you want to get access or get an invitation code, or DM Victor or the main CREA account. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Also on Instagram, they can also send us a message on Instagram, or Boltron too, and even on Discord, whatever. Like, and if you guys can actually do it in every one of them, so we make sure. So you make sure that we see the message, because sometimes there's just like so many. But I would say that if you guys send me a message on my personal Twitter account, I would probably see it.
That's for those listening right now in this room. You have special access to talk to him if you don't go through one of those other. But definitely visit the Discord too. There's a lot happening in there, and and you said that soon it will be available without the code. But will it be a paid feature?
No, there's going to be a free tier. People are going to be able, it's like similar to real time or the enhancer, where you have a certain compute time that you can spend for free every day. And it's going to be the same idea on video. So I still don't know how many videos that will allow you to generate. Let me think. I think that probably you will be able to generate around 10 videos for free every day as a free user. And then obviously there's going to be some other features that we're going to release. Like, for example, we are thinking of an export feature that will allow you to get these videos at a higher resolution and with more frame rate and more production ready. So you can integrate it into, I don't know, features would be for pro users or for max users because they are more computationally expensive. Chance to work, to play with it every day and to give it a shot.
Salma, did you have a question? We'll let him go.
Yeah. Hi, Victor. Congratulations on the launch. So my question is related to like internal project management. Do you guys have plans of integrating some organizational tools like folders, things that keeps like a creative like myself organized, basically?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one of those things that a lot of people have been asking about. And on the one side, we would love to work on an asset manager. We already have a few designs in place that they look pretty cool, and it's kind of like a global tool that is present in CREA on any different tool that you go. Like you go to real time or to video, you have access to all your assets and all your folders at any moment. It's like something that is in there always.
I think we're losing you a little bit with the audio.
We were just 5, so the team is extremely small. We work a lot, but so we were able to do a lot with a very small team. But the team is very small, and one of the most important things for us as a team is to be able to focus on where we can provide the most value to the creative community. And we are always looking for that 10x, so to say. So like, what is that thing that we are uniquely positioned and that we have the right abilities to do that creative will love? And in this case, like, for example, let's say a month ago or a month and a half ago, when we asked that question, the answer was obviously, yeah, we need to make a video tool. Like, a video tool would be so fun. We can make such a good interface. We can optimize it to go extremely fast. And if it works, if people really like it, we can make sure that the models are, we can, like, start training and make sure that the models are better than what they are right now. So that was we kept the asset manager kind of behind, and we focused to work on that. But now that the video tool is ready, and now that we are hopefully going to hire a few more engineers that can help us out with product, we should be able to have an asset manager in place no more than 1 or 2 months, hopefully. But yeah, I agree that would be super helpful to have everything that you generate in the platform in the same place and more organized.
Amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Victor. I want to let you go because I know you have an event to attend, and I really appreciate
you guys have a great time.
Thank you so much. And also, I wanted to announce while he's here that I'm launching a podcast. It's called Intelliverse, and probably in the next week or two. Hey, thank you. And Victor has agreed to be one of my first interviews. So we will be able to go into a lot of his background and talk about quite a few things that he mentioned. So I appreciate so much him coming, and guys, listen out for more details about other interviews. And there's a lot of cool people out there that I'm sure people would like to learn more about their backgrounds and find out more about what their journey has been and their vision for what the tools that they're working with or building. So thank you so much, Victor. And I hope that you all remember, go ahead and try to get access to that. It's an amazing tool. It's very fast too. So it's unlike any other tool. And Alan, I think you and I are the only ones. AP, have you tried it?
Sorry, I actually haven't had a chance to try it yet. I've been like very busy this week, but it looks very amazing.
Yeah.
Like the like storytelling aspect of it, like in combination with like animate diff. It's just very fluid. Like has been like historically like a tool that's really hard to use for most people, and like most people want to use it. And so yeah, CREA has that front end. But yeah, if you want to do it like locally, there's also like animate diff and Comfy UI, and you can definitely do that as well. But yeah, it looks like an amazing tool. But yeah, amazing like user interface. Yeah.
So it is animate diff in there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
well, I mean, I probably shouldn't speak for him, but it's animate diff. Yeah, it's definitely animate diff. Yep.
But a easier like a UI to use. But I know that there are workflows out there right now for using it with Comfy UI.
Yeah, so there's two workflows for using like the same thing. It's sparse control. So sorry, steerable motion is one by Peter O'Malley, Palm, Banadoko Discord, and the other one's by Pers, who actually would be an interesting person to have up here. Maybe next week. But yeah, he did like the context smashing workflow, which is I'm not sure if it's using it, but it's something similar. I think yeah. Yeah, but CREA is absolutely like an amazing interface and like really easy way to like use the tools. Yeah.
Yeah, it's doesn't really need you don't need to have much experience with using like a video editor or even using like the Runway or Pika and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy, and it's very easy to manipulate and just move things around the way you want in extending the clips, and it generates pretty fast too. So it's a very interesting. It's a nice addition to all the other tools that we have available. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty
very
excited.
very intuitive. And like again, taking a very powerful tool and like without you having to like because to learn Comfy UI takes like a lot of time and a lot of hours, and a lot of people just don't have that, right? So like very very powerful tool. Yeah.
Well, next on our list of things to talk about was Freepik and Magnific. I'm going to say it the wrong way, I'm sure, but the merger, talking about more powerful tools and platforms. So I have who has been using the two of them together? Anybody? Oh, Ali, thank you.
Yes, not extensively. And as far as I understand, so the way that I've used it so far is not in connection or from the Freepik platform, but I basically just generated the images and then pulled it traditionally to Magnific. But as we're moving forward and Freepik keeps adding all these things into their system, everything should be very smooth doing all from within there. So I'm looking forward to that. But they also just announced, by the way, I not to go off from this Magnific one, but they also have now style transfer coming. So they are also adding a lot new things. But I'm excited. They already had an upscaler, which was a pretty decent one, but I am excited to see Magnific joining. I mean, I think it's a great fit, honestly.
I wonder like how it will work where if they have the upscaler and it has an enhancer on it too. If it like are they will it be separate or will it be with Magnific? That will be pretty interesting to see. But that is quite a bit. But just talking about where did anybody figure out that that might happen? I know it was probably difficult based on people assume that they would be acquired, but did you think it would be with Freepik?
I did not personally. I was surprised. I mean, I was happily surprised. And I mean, it's fantastic. Within 5 months, like nobody's done that before well, at least that I know of in this space in Europe, in anything, right? This is insane growth and insane speed.
Alan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't suspect it was gonna happen, but we probably should have picked up on the tea leaves, because Javi was dropping hints about Freepik for a while, including when he was in Vegas. He did a little interview down there. I mean, talk about a person that is a marketing genius. If you follow Magnific from before he launched, a couple months leading up to it. The way he drops breadcrumbs leading up to a launch of a platform, and then how he did exploded Magnifique without any marketing, right? He didn't have any paid marketing, just word of mouth in a couple months, and he gets it to sell. I mean, just an amazing person.
Well, he truly is, and I've known him for quite a while. Like before, like when he first started his English language account on X, on Twitter back then, and he already had. I used to follow him just because he had some of the best prompt tips that he would just free. He would share 50 in a thread for logos and different things like that. So how to make a website layout, a UI, and things like that. But it was so helpful, and he's just such a generous person. And I think part of this is because we all know how passionate he is about just generating different things, and not just Midjourney, but Stable Diffusion, and working on things and always trying to perfect it and change it and make it a little bit better. So I think that's why I would believe that that's why a lot of people in the community were so excited to use it, and it was a good product. It is a good product. I can't wait to see what else. And they were in Forbes magazine, the merger. So, what do we call it? Acquisition, merger? I'm not sure exactly
I
what we
think Freepik called it, and Magnific called it acquisition.
acquisition. Yes, I don't want to say it wrong, but I think that, yeah, there's a lot of different things there. And there's a new pricing structure, 50% off, as I believe, maybe for the first month. I'm not sure if anybody knows, but we don't have them here to verify that. But there are several different things. And I think anybody that was already a user gets like 500, maybe for one free month and 500 credits. So check your Magnific accounts and see that was a thank you from the team, so that for the people who've been using it so far. But
I'll just also note it does work on the annual plan too. So if you do it before the code expires, you can get the year chopped in half.
and you can look at the announcement thread on Javi's profile, I believe. Yeah, I think it was on his profile, not necessarily on Magnific, or look on both just to see if you need that code. But take advantage of it while that's the thing with these tools. Take advantage of the stuff while you can when it's for free. So you can, go ahead and test it out and see, because things won't remain free forever. Salma, did you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say that, yeah, like I got my free credits, extra credits, which was a nice surprise.
Well, yeah, take advantage of that, everyone, please. And by the way, nobody's using the chat, so please, I don't think so. Feel free to drop whatever you want in there. Say hello if you want to, showcase your work or your new products. Put it in there so we can have it in the chat. And thank you everybody who's joined after we started here. But we've had an interesting topic real fast about Bumble and the new way of dating online, or like AI. You can send AI date to another AI before you actually go on the date. Talking about the future of dating. Who's Alan? I just wanted to hear a little bit more of your thoughts on that, because it is an interesting concept. I'm not dating, but some of the people in the audience might be, right.
Yeah, so the founder of Bumble, I just pinned it to the top. Did an interview where she's discussing the future of the app. So if you've never used Bumble, it's a dating app where the woman makes the first move. So she sends the first message. I think you have like 24 hours to send a message. So the founder in this interview is talking about how she envisions in the future you'll have an AI kind of partner who helps you with these relationships, and you would disclose to the AI any of your insecurities about breakups or commitment issues, whatever it happens to be, and the AI at that point would help you work through those insecurities of like how you should approach it, how you should approach dating, how you should approach yourself, your mental health, and so that was kind of the first step of the interview, which is very interesting. But then she follows up with she envisions an even further future where your AI partner, goes on dates with other people's AI partners. So you no longer actually have to go out on the date. Your AI would go out on 300, 400, 500 dates. It would narrow down your selection to a couple people, and then it brings those three, that menu almost, I guess I would say, to you to choose from.
So are they going to use the like realistic, would it be a video or anything like that, or is it just kind of happening behind the scenes in the code?
Yeah, it's a good question. She didn't elaborate, but I have to imagine it's behind the scenes in code. If it's in video, if it's a video AI of you dating a video AI of someone else, I think that's fascinating. I've watched that show, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's a good idea, especially like I tried out the new tool Digen. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it thanks Tom Blake. I saw his post and I had to figure out what was up with that. Appreciate it, but that's another very photorealistic. Pretty close to, it needs some work, but it's pretty good. I was surprised. It only took about 30 seconds, I think, to generate. But I wonder if we'll get to the point in where, looking at character consistency of people making AI influencers, maybe if you just make your AI twin and go ahead and have them interact with the other, your date or something like that. But I guess you could also do that for interviews, job interviews, and things like that to prep for it, not necessarily send your AI to the interview. That would be crazy. But it's interesting, very interesting. But next on our list was talking about what the heck is going on with Microsoft is building an LLM and OpenAI is building a search engine, which is kind of like the opposite, right? Because Microsoft is a search engine, and um, yeah, I'm confused. Anybody have any insight on that? Thoughts?
Well, I think that was the rumor, right? And then didn't Sama just come out and say that someone or OpenAI, a couple of them came out just I think today and said that the announcement coming up would not be search engine and it would not be GPT-5, but it would be exciting. So I don't know what that means, but my personal prediction is a next level music generation platform that beats all the other ones that they only give access to a few people in the music industry.
Oh, that's intriguing. That's very interesting. You think, and that brings us to the next topic of 11 Labs, AI music.
Pure
And
conjecture, though. I have no.
no,
No
no, I
idea.
said, if anybody else has anything to add to it, because no, I didn't even see that what he said today. So I just noticed we were talking about it all week. But if he said it's not GPT-5 and it's not a search engine, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's that GPT, was it 2.5, that keeps getting kicked around all over the internet. That's a possibility. Blaine, if they did release a music website and didn't give it to the public, I think that would be very, very upsetting because there's really no excuse for it. With Sora, I get it that the costs are very high and they're concerned about public safety, and plus their voice model, they're concerned about public safety. Um,
Yeah.
but if they
I
did
was
a
just kind of being facetious because I'm frustrated that they haven't given Sora out. So I was just.
oh me too. If you've seen that, there was that article that came out today where they kind of estimate the cost. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty.
$15 every couple minutes or something.
How
Yep.
much? How much did you just say?
$15 for a few minutes, I thought I saw.
Oh my goodness. I figured it was going to be something outrageous that would put it out of the market for the majority of people, including me at that point. But wow, I guess it makes sense. Um, well, what do you guys think about 11 Labs and though it hasn't been released yet, but the music generation from what they uh, what they posted yesterday with those examples, and how do you think it's going to compare to Udio and Suno? Where's all my music musicians, the people who
I
making?
think, well,
I don't
so
make many songs.
I love making music. I'm looking forward to testing it. The samples they gave, those are obviously curated examples for social media and hype and things, but it's promising. And 11 Labs like kills it with everything else they do, right? I mean, so wouldn't be surprising if they release a music model that's really great.
Well, AI music has been all over the place lately, and we were talking about. I don't know how many in the audience are aware of the Drake and Kendrick Lamar feud, but I know that AI music kind of leaked into that. That's just an interesting. You have to kind of study the timeline and figure out who's attacking who and what. But there has been AI music from Drake, I believe, and then also or voices on the music, and then Udio was sampled by another person, another Metro Boomin jumped in there too. But it seems like it is definitely going to be adopted sooner. And I know Tommy Behringer from Traxy had mentioned previously that, they musicians were trying to find ways to work with it wait last year even, and they kind of the music industry decided to try to figure out what they can do with it. But I'm sure I've seen a lot of commentary about 11 Labs, even, and musicians thinking that it's going to be a threat and they're sampling their music. And I know people have been saying that from some of the things that Udio and Suno have been producing too. What do you think? I know we need to have another AI music space very soon, but what are your thoughts on that? On any of that that's happening between the competition, or just having different? I guess it's good to have different options, but what's the dangers with it and the benefits?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the record companies and artists are scared of it, and rightly so, I think. But I think it's going to be a while before you get. I mean, some of this stuff it's kind of treading this line of like it's so much better than what I know I personally would be able to make because I'm not a musician, and being able to prompt something and have it be like, oh man, I can kind of listen to that, is really fun. I think for me, it's a really cool tool to use to make like almost like memes or something funny, or have somebody rap about something that's ridiculous. But I don't expect like anybody to ever like pay for my music, or release an album that people would pay for anytime soon. But it's, I guess it depends on what it's trained on too. Just like with art, right? Any sort of art, I think there's a concern around, what are they training these models on, and the ethics behind that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's true. I guess it's not at the level where it can replace anything. And I don't normally sit around with AI music on a playlist necessarily, but I know people are developing a lot of different. They have their own profiles and playlists, and I think that's great. It's just another way for them to express their creativity and find a new love. So it's
Yeah, I would just say that if you haven't listened to BBL Drizzy, which is the AI track that everyone's talking about, give it a listen. It's great. It's fantastic. I and I could be wrong about this. Please feel free to correct me, but I believe the person who did it was Dave Clark's brother. The person who actually generated BBL Jersey and then got sampled by Metro Boomin. So yeah, fantastic. And if you're not too familiar with the whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing, Drake also had an AI part in this battle. He used Tupac's AI voice for a song, and then the Tupac estate made him take that down. I think it was a week ago. So there's AI being used all over the place.
it's the craziest. I'm so confused, and it's just such an interesting battle that, and it kind of every day takes another turn. What's up, AP?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it's like interesting from my perspective because like the Metro Boomin like sample of a Udio made track nobody's really like freaked out about that too much. But it was like when Drake used Tupac's voice, who, you know, deceased artist, obviously, like well respected, legendary, like greatest of all time. Like that was like super disrespectful. And like, yeah, you know, from the perspective of like the rappers, Kendrick just like absolutely like destroyed him after, you know, in the raps and all that type of stuff for the disrespect that they saw it as, right? So I think, yeah, it's almost like two different approaches to using generative AI in music. And I think like the Metro Boomin one's pretty interesting. I don't even think he knew it was like an AI sample. He just thought like for some reason somebody made like some type of soul type music. But yeah, very interesting for the future of what it means.
That's insane. Yeah, it's that's a good point though too. Yeah, nobody is they're not up in arms about that, but they are. You know, and I get they are two different things for sure. But I would like to hear what Katie. Thanks for coming up here, and what did you want to add to it? Appreciate it.
Oh,
Welcome.
thank you so much, and honored to be part of this amazing and much needed conversation. Um, I come in love and with peace and everything else, and I'm like 185. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if I were 185? I'm not, but I'm old school, and so I understand the future of the next generations and so on and so forth. And I myself, I've got a little one. He is almost 6 years old, and so I understand the old school way about things, and then what potentially the future looks like, which is in an ever evolving state, which is fantastic, and I love it. The thing that fundamentally concerns me, though, and much like you've been discussing, and about, okay, well, people being upset about, um, you know, using somebody's song rights without their ability to approve this, is and the reason why I entered the room in the way that I did is that if you were to take a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and you draw or you write or what have you, that is your paper, that is your pen, that is your pencil, that is in real time your creation, right? And I'm looking really to protect the sorry about the noise in the background. I'm looking at how we can protect then the the future version of this, which is whether it's AI, whether it's VR, in whatever way, shape, or form from a technology standpoint, without it having to be on another platform, for example, or program, for example, that is owned by a company that have to use those resources. Yes, okay, you can purchase paper, for example, from the store and a pencil. Um, Fine, but when you bring it home, you're like, the store is not watching what you're doing with that. You know what I mean? Um, you get to just go and create. If you want to tape all the pieces of paper together, you can. Whatever it is that you wish to do with that, great. But when you're using a program or so on and so forth to create this amazing artwork or music or so on and so forth, you're using a piece of technology which is in fact, unfortunately, it's not like buying that piece of paper from the store. So that's what I kind of wanted to bring to the table thus far, all but in with love and positivity, when it comes to the future of technology and in protection of all and your art and creativity. But I'm here. Thank you.
And Katie, you're an IP lawyer, intellectual property.
I am not an IP lawyer. I'm actually, I did a law degree so that I could understand the fundamentals of public law, really, quite frank, in terms of protecting individual human rights for all those in the big wide world, but the creative industry sector. However, I work very closely with those that are working tremendously hard in breaking the fundamentals down and protecting people legally in the UK, for copyright protection laws and what all of this looks like. But I'm all here for the conversation, really, to be frank, from ground level up. I want to get a better understanding of it so that I can then, please God, knock on the big doors and say, excuse me, please, this is what everybody is saying, and this is what you got to do to protect everybody. So, but thank you.
No, that's helpful because I spoke to the American Bar Association twice last year, to the IP lawyers, and because they want to know on both sides, representing people for copyright, trademark, and different issues like that, how we create, how we use generative AI and things like that, and what are the protections that creators are in that we would need, because they really don't know how to make these laws and how to address it. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and even the lawmakers, I know, all over the place, many of them don't use this technology. So it's a conversation that should, hopefully we can, educate more people, and even understand too more about the laws ourselves, and how what we're using, what the legality is, and ownership, especially how that affects us.
You're
Alan,
amazing.
Alan,
Thank
you
you.
had, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I saw Alan had his hand up, and I didn't want to cut you off. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, just a quick question for Katie. Katie, a great conversation. Just to clarify what your concern is. So is it the use of copyright material in the AI training, or is it more that these big mega companies are kind of keeping all that information to themselves and potentially keeping that away from the public?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking it. I think, to be very frank, it it is the umbrella that encompasses both. I'm just unsure of the unknown, and the non-transparency. I know that, as everything in its own entity evolves, um, if the big wide world has to figure it out. I think what I was trying to say is that when something is tangible in front of you, for example, the piece of paper example, and then you get to create in front of you, or a musical instrument, or if you have GarageBand. But even with GarageBand on a iPad or a MacBook, and you're creating music, I'm still a bit like, "Meh," especially now that I know what I know in the music industry. But when something is actually in front of you, and that you have 100% full ownership over your creativity, um, how how can we absolutely underscore and underline, or outline, that the creators, or innovators, using software programs, or art studios that are digital, or algorithms, or AI, for example, would be able to retain copyright and ownership over what they are producing creatively, because there is an external, like uh, there is an external person involved there, from like that bigger umbrella. So basically, the people that make the paper in the factory, they're not going to knock on the door and be like, "I've seen what you've been doing with our paper," you know, because they're like, "Oh, here is the paper, and this is what we produce." But with all the love and absolute blessings in the world, but when it comes to technology, everything is disturbingly traceable and trackable, whether we like it or not. And so that's what my fear is. And I just want everybody that is excited to use and be part of that next generation and the evolution of the big wide world to be protected in that way. So I was only but merely, using that as an example of a bigger picture. I hope that answers the question, Alan, but thank you.
It does. Thank you.
That's a great point, though. I'll just add, and Alan, one thing that kind of occurred to me when you asked that was the irony in that you have these big corporations that train these models, and whether or not we know how they're trained or not is kind of up to the corporation to let us know. But and then on the flip side of that, you have open source, initiatives, and I guess the irony is that the open source initiatives, while being open and transparent to some degree, that's where you have models that are trained on public, or on copyrighted material, because for the most part, because they're open source, and you have millions of thousands of people that could train the model. So it's like you could either have things open and understand maybe what's in the model with the risk of having copyrighted material, or you could rely on trusting the corporation to have a model that is maybe ethical or whatever. And I tend to like open models, but I don't think there's a one size fits all or a real great answer to any of that. It's just kind of interesting.
Yeah, Blaine, it's a great point, and it leads us to something that I think we've talked about a lot, at least in the community, is how much of editing to the AI makes it become no longer AI, right? So like how much work do we have to do to a piece to where then it's copyrightable, then it's ours, as opposed to just a machine output. So I think that's something it still needs to be figured out, whether that's in regulation or what, but that still has to come.
Well, we definitely know we have topics to explore in the future. And I know we did have a great music space before. And now I can't believe how much has happened since then. So we definitely are going to have this conversation again and try to understand because more people are using it. And not only that, like just, yeah, talking about the legality of using of somebody's famous's voice or just anyone's voice, even like how do they regulate that and what is considered ethical as far as that. So there's a lot out there, and I know what you mean about being around for quite a long time, Katie, because I have been too. And I think that it's just like a world that all these topics are so new, we don't really know how to approach. There's nothing to compare them to. Go ahead, please.
Amen. And honestly, all the love in the world to you. When it comes to using an artist's voice, or it's similar to sampling a track, it depends on who owns the masters to said record or said voice recording. And this is why there is so much, and like you just mentioned before, you had a space on this, so much outcry in the music industry specific as to who owns the rights to what and what's fair and just. And so AI really, from a deeper level, when it comes to somebody using someone's voice, that's a licensed agreement to the record label who owns that part of the stem of the recording. And not, I don't think many people know that, but it's, or maybe they do and I don't know, but I've not actually spoken about it, I don't think, ever. But very, very interesting. It's much like how you now often see people's back catalogs being bought and sold as if they're like hedge funds or investments. You've got the likes of Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun back in the day. He owned the masters to her record. I mean, even Prince back in the day actually spoke about this. George Michael spoke about this. Bono has spoken about this. So many artists have spoken about this, but they don't actually, or very rarely, own the masters to their recordings. And what a masters mean is the individual stems to the track. So the record label then has full capability, pending on contracts, by the way. So I just want to broadly speak, to then license out that part of the audio with or without that person's permission. And then when somebody unfortunately isn't on this earth plane anymore, it's then who would they then turn to ask permission? Is the estate, and who's the estate holders? Well, 99% of the time, the big bad wolves have manipulated a very unfortunate situation that they are still in control of the estate. So they then therefore get to do what they wish with that. So they don't have to ask anybody's permission to use anybody's voice, which is terrible. It's absolutely awful. But that's just the music industry side of things. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you.
Can I
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just ask like a quick use case? Like say for my upcoming podcast, if I wanted to use AI music because it's an AI podcast, generative AI, right? And I wanted to maybe I know it's difficult to get Udio and Suno to do this, but if I wanted like a Notorious B.I.G. song, something that sounded in the style of that, and some of the beats sounded very similar to one of his songs, and he's posthumous, right? So would they be able to, do you think I would be at risk of being sued or something to have to take that off if it sounded too close to that? Like, how would that work?
That's a really, really great question. And I can only but give my personal opinion and not professional advice, because obviously it depends on what track you're using and where you're getting that music from. If you're getting it from a legitimate source that you would pay, for example, a small fee to use a sample, then the platform that you're using that sample from must have a licensing agreement then with the record company or publishers, and so that everything is data tracked, so that the royalties are then tracked, and so on and so forth. If an AI is going to do a copy of that, and then this is where the gray area lies, is that if AI has then generated a mimic or a copycat version of what you're saying, I would be very curious to know what AI system did that, and if they're ready to then receive any potential legal action. Because if you're unknown and you've just told a computer system to be like, okay, well, can you do X, Y, and Z? Well, you're none the wiser. But I would be curious to see whether A, it produced it, and then B, if the platform itself that was generating that had any legal jargon about that, or perhaps even a licensing agreement with that. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors, unfortunately. And so, yeah, I think the T's need to be crossed and the I's dotted.
Yeah.
But I love your music choice, though.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, no, I just thought, because I was just thinking about that, like, oh, I should maybe, and when I tell it, I don't necessarily want it to, create that song, but something in that style. And unbeknownst to me, it could have a very close sounding, sample that of something that would sound as if it was sampled, because that's how good some of these are. Udio came up with a couple of pretty decent ones for me that sounded pretty close to things that he would have produced. So
Well, I can
it's just,
imagine, but don't you worry about it. Let the company that created the technology for that worry about it.
that's a
Um,
good point. Lisa knows some lawyers now. So
well, yeah, exactly. Well, I know the space is recorded, so delete the recording, because now you're privy to the information. So just erase the recording of this
oh,
space.
that's
So
true.
we're
Yeah,
all
let me shut up.
we're all none the
It's
wiser.
in the public domain now.
God bless you. I'll be up here. I'll go on mute.
Well, thank you so much. Blaine, did you have something to say?
Yeah, sometimes if taking the actual legal side out of it, sometimes it's just platform specific, right? Like YouTube and TikTok and things like that can be, really, really aggressive, right, with their algorithms and what they're trying to detect. I mean, there was a period of time where early on in the AI music, I think I was using Splash Pro or something last year, and like everything I tried putting on TikTok would just immediately get muted. It's like, okay, well, whatever. And then, YouTube's kind of been known to that. But then X, right? I mean, I feel like you can pretty much post anything you want on this platform, and it'll probably stay on there. So,
Blaine, can I speak on this just real quick? You're absolutely right. And still to this day, even if I post my own audio or own song to TikTok, it gets muted and say I breached copyright. And I'm like, bruh, I wrote it. It's fine. Now I give you full permission to use it. But they're like, nah. And the reason being, and there was, for real life though, in recent news, TikTok has, sorry, been basically engaging in licensing deals. And I think this is absolutely fantastic, and rightfully so, because it's a way for songwriters or creators, or, you know, producers, what have you, to generate revenue through their work and their art form. Universal Records went a little bit too far with TikTok, but whatever, they seem to have found a deal and a safe space. But that's why on TikTok it was impossible. You can't even upload as an original sound anymore. I've tried even recently. You just can't do it. But but it is really legitimately in protection of, those that wrote the song. It goes into PRS and MCPS and copyright law and everything else and what have you. But it's interesting that X or even Instagram doesn't have that in place just yet. So when I say just yet, I believe that this will be coming, because in securing a licensing agreement with all of the major record labels and music publishing labels, they're able to generate a different type of revenue stream, but something that is workable for all and mitigates any type of lawsuit. This will be coming. But for new creators, for even AI creators, the future of music specifically is licensing. So I would say to anybody, if you're wishing to be creative, or if you want to use AI or whatever have you, kind of research into the licensing agreements that part of things. Okay, well, I've co-created or have done a mix sample or so on and so forth. What's the shit with that? And then look at the licensing agreements with all multimedia platforms, and that's the way forward for all creators, period, is licensing agreements for you to get revenue and to be legally protected.
And that would go for the people that a lot of people have profiles on Suno and Udio and other apps where, like, how to look at the terms of what do you call it, the user terms with the agreements with those different
100%.
platforms. Yeah. And so that you'll know that if you feel like that's yours right now, right? If you created it and it's all up there and we publish it to that particular platform, the music, AI
Amen. Nothing's
music
stopping you
platform.
for copywriting that through PRS and MCPS. So if you're remixing, or if you're using AI to generate audio, and I wonder if maybe this is the loophole and just speaking out loud. PRS and MCPS is basically the copyright platform, who I love, shout out to them. So if you write a song, you register the song and say, this is, blah, 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 blah. Or this is the song I remix, or this is the song I was a producer on, or so on and so forth. And then you've written it, or you've registered it. So when you come further down the line, if anybody tries to come after you from a legal standpoint, you can be like, well, AI generated it. I asked AI to generate it, so I'm a co-writer. Here is the paperwork to say I've registered it. So maybe that's just another way potentially to look at the future of it. But it means that if you have some type of ownership over that, you'd be able to license it, meaning sell that in a bigger picture, or even license it to the blockchain, whatever. I mean, like I said, I'm 185. I'm still learning, please. I really am. And I want to learn, and I'm excited to learn. But you can then. I spoke actually with Mishcon CREA, a couple of people there recently, which is a big international law firm that has been working tremendously hard on the narrative of these types of things. And I said, how can the blockchain hold copyright for people's AI work? Because that's what it should do. But it's not impossible, but it's a work in progress. But anyway, that's just my 5,000 pennies worth. Sorry, I'll go on mute.
Thank you. We're about to go, and I just I put PRS for music in the chat, the link to that. Thank you for that. It's at least a start, and it has information about music licensing and copywriting for anyone who's listening. Just check that out. But thank you for bringing up these points, and definitely have you back, and love to talk to you more about, even because you have more knowledge about it, and you're a musician too, right? So I think you're a musician from looking at things on your phone.
Back in the, you can take the girl out of music, but you'll never take music out of the girl. Yes, I have been a songwriter since I was 14. Yeah, I still signed with Warner Chappell Music Publishing. Not that they do anything, just as a side note. No offense, Warner Chapel Music Publishing, but for real life, God bless them though. Yeah, but I've been in the music and I was in the music industry for a very long time, and now I've had to put a cape on and be Batman and protect everybody within it. So yes,
We are all here to learn, and that's how we, just from our experiences and backgrounds, and you never know how that can be helpful to somebody. So I appreciate you, adding your voice to the conversation, and thank you so much
thank
for
you for having me.
I appreciate everybody. We're doing good. It's 6 minutes over the hour. One day I'm going to finish exactly on an hour, but I think that when we have, good conversation going, I don't want to end it. And this is something that is important, and it's something that affects most of us here. So thank you for adding to that. And I appreciate my entire panel for coming again today, and for the listeners here. I hope that you learned something and that it was something useful for you. But everybody, let me see, next week, I'm pretty sure we'll be here next week. There's a lot of different conferences and events that are happening already. So our panel will probably vary some over the next, several months even. But we try to bring you as much as we can each week. And thank you so much for hanging in here and being supportive. So please look around and see people that are in here and look at their profiles, check out and see what kind of content they make. You might be surprised at a lot of the talent that is right here in this room right now. And I just thank you all. We're not going to go around and ask for, closing remarks, because we'll be here for another few minutes. So everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Be safe.